for joining us today on our mini webinar series. So this one, if you've been joining us, I can recognise a couple of names of people who've watched previous ones. So this one is all about building your own financial reports. With this, we know it's a key topic. I know I speak with quite a lot of finance teams within trusts, really, of how can I amend a report? It's actually incredibly complicated in my current system, or I actually don't have the functionality to do this at all, and I have to pay to be able to get any type of report. What we'll actually do is show you how this is all done within Sage Intacct. I don't want to take anything away from what Kev's going to show you, but it'll show you how easy that is actually within our system. So a bit of an agenda there for you today. What we'll do, obviously, as always, we'll do a little bit of an intro there for you. Within that, what we'll then do is go through a reporting suite overview. So what reports already do you have access to in Sage Intacct, and those key ones that you'll need therefore as finance teams? How then you can amend your standard reports. So we're very aware that the system comes with a wealth of standard reports there for you, but actually they mightn't always work for your trust. There might be a little bit of an extra column that you might want or you might need. So we'll show you how to amend those current reports. Then what we're going to do as well, we're going to show you exactly how from that you'll actually be able to create your own report from scratch. And then quite importantly, reporting via the dashboard. So one of the things that we'd covered in a previous webinar, we'll not touch too much on it today, but everyone can have their own dashboard. And if everyone's got their own dashboard and you can customize it to how they want, is there some key reports that you need a lot of access to? Can we put those on the dashboard? So we'll show you how that works as well there for you. So as always, and apologies to those who's been on, you are going to hear a little bit more about ION, but for those that are new on here, you might have heard of us before. So as a bit of a quick overview there, we are a verified Sage business partner, and we're actually Sage's leading partner within Sage Intacct for Education. This is because we actually spearheaded the Sage Intacct for Education over a year ago now. So we were the first to bring on new maths there, and just have now had a wealth of experience working with maths and other projects as well. So the guys that you'll speak with are genuine experts in what they do, and we're actually lucky enough that half the team that we have come directly from Sage and specialise within the education sector of that. One of the key things just to take a little bit of note of, again, just because it's quite important, you have all heard of Sage products, but the partners is where you'll really get the most out of your product, and especially something like Sage Intacct, where it could be really tailored towards yourselves, as having the partner that has the knowledge to be able to do that. We have something called a low risk methodology, which is the ION way. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but that's how we implement every single project. So from our discovery phases to enabling all yourselves through training. Some of the stuff that you'll actually see today is actually done through training of how to build your own reports, but then also giving it the system to yourself as a dummy system, so you know that it's set up correctly for you before you actually go live. For those that haven't heard about Sage Intacct, obviously very different from Sage's previous products. This is a fully cloud-based accounting system that obviously enables your trust to fully scale there for you. On previous webinars, we've touched on how you can successfully scale. One of those key parts on being able to scale is reducing your admin time, and when you're reporting is a part that can really take up a lot of your admin, and there's a lot of manual work or manipulation that needs to go into that. So we'll show you really how, with the reporting functionality that we have, how you just get more time back essentially by using Sage Intacct for Education. A couple of reasons. Obviously, we're going to show you about the reporting abilities today, but obviously you'll be able to scale your MAT faster. This is one of the key reasons why MATs do switch over and make that switch to Sage Intacct for Education, is they know they're going to be scaling, if not now, but future-proofing your MAT. So another way to future-proof it is not spending all that, like I've just said, that manual admin time that you have to put in, where you're having to add extra heads into your finance team. You can actually get a system to do a lot of that for you. There's a lot of powerful cost controls that we'll have in there. Again, we've touched on this in previous webinars, but if you've got any questions about it, please do let us know. And then also that reporting side of it. So not only the reporting that you'll see, it's live reporting, what you'll see within the system. So you're not having to refresh it or you're not reporting on out of date reports, but also you'll see that the system's automatically consolidating all of the time. And it's just due to how the system's set up at that top level. But what I'll do, I'll hand you straight over to Kev now. One thing just before I hand you over to Kev, you will see that he'll when he logs into the system, it's just through a web browser, and that's because it's fully cloud-based. So you'll be able to access this from a tablet, your mobile phone, a laptop, an Apple Mac, and the IT team do not have to install a thing for you. So I'll pass straight over to yourself there, Kev.
Thanks, Katie. Very nearly left myself on mute there, so that would have been fun. I'm going to stop sharing there, and we'll get into to my system there. So hopefully everyone can see my screen nice and clearly. But as usual, just let me know if you can't, and I'll be able to zoom in or zoom out. As Katie's mentioned, today's session is all around creating your own reports. So we're going to have a detailed look at how we can create some of the financial reports within the system very, very easily. And what I want everybody to get out of today's session isn't necessarily the numbers on the report, is to look at how easy it is to build those reports. So the data and the numbers that I have are in this demo environment, which will never really be a true reflection of the numbers that you'll see within your live systems. So we want to focus in on how easy Sage Intacct for Education can make it for you to build your own reports from scratch, because I've had experience working with other systems in the past where it was very challenging and fiddly, and you just didn't really want to spend much time kind of focusing on that task because it wasn't straightforward. But if anybody who knows me, if anybody on the session's been on before, you might know that I like to talk and show off the features of this system, but I really could probably fill a 2-hour webinar session on reporting rather than just a one for 20 minutes. So we'll get going. So I'll start off with looking at the reports center. So within Sage Intacct, there's a reporting application, and within there we've got the report center. And as you would expect from the report center, this is where you will be able to view all of the different types of reports available within the system. So we have a tab here for all reports. So all reports will contain all of the out-of-the-box reports that Sage Intacct will provide you as standard. So your standard reports like your balance sheet, cash flow, income, expenditure. A lot of those reports are pre-built for us, and they just come with the package. But there are also a lot of reports that Ion have created and generated that you will also be able to make the most of. So things like your counterparty, your main accounts return, and SOFA reports, Ion have created those. Okay, and we've developed them over time, working with the existing trust that we have to make them work for maths. So this is again a list, as you can see, of you've got financial reports. But if we scroll down further, we've also got something called application specific reports. So reports that will only be run in relation to the application that they belong to. So cash management reports, GL-based reports where you'll run things like trial balances, maybe VAT-based reporting and see audit trails. And then you go further down and you've got accounts payable, receivable, and debt, and kind of different types of purchasing reports there at the bottom. So all sorts of different reports that come as standard. There are a huge amount. We are in the process of developing more at Ion as well. So we're always working in the background to amend and to refine the existing reports that we already have. The reports can be grouped into favorites very easily. So again, you can star the reports, so you can then begin to view those reports that you would rather run, and that's per user within the system. So I'm logged in myself. So these are just my favorites. You'll obviously be able to do that within your own logins. And again, if we scroll down, we have got the potential here to group reports together for specific purposes. So you can see the examples there that I have in my system where we've got board reports, budget reports, the account return reports that we might need to run at the end of the year. And we've got things like management packs and governor reports there as well. So those reports again are grouped, and they can be run all at the same time, and they can even be scheduled to run. So an example of that might be at the end of the month or the end of the week, I want to create a schedule for my budget reports that it will send out directly to the budget holders by email. So I can add the emails for the budget holders within the schedule, and the system will take care of the rest for me. So we can schedule, we can run them together. And I just want to show you a very quick example there of how these reports are grouped, because I've already ran an example of a management report pack. So if we just look at the stored reports that I already have, we can view them in Excel or PDF. Okay, so downloads instantly. Okay, so there's a lot of information in this report, but the system has already done the work in the background for me. And if I just move that across, we've got an income and expenditure, a consolidation report, a cash flow statement, and a balance sheet report there. So 4 different reports. Of course, you can add to that. This is just what we've got in here for demo purposes, but you can go ahead and you can create your own report groups and run them as you see fit. So lots of really useful reporting tools there in terms of running them. But a lot of the reports that you do get as standard, so the ION report and the Sage Intacct for education reports that come with the system can be duplicated and edited very easily. So again, if I just pick this balance sheet at the top of the page there, I can edit and duplicate with just a few clicks. So I would give this report a new name. That then allows me to go ahead and make any changes that I need to that balance sheet report. So I can add my own spin to it, if you like. I can add my own kind of personal touches to that report that I might prefer. So I could change the formatting. I could add or remove particular information that I might not want to see. So that's obviously really great as well. You don't just have to create all of the reports that you want from scratch. You have got that ability to duplicate as well. And we can also see an audit trail of changes that have been made to reports, which I think can be really handy as well. So if you spent a lot of time making a report and your colleague who also needs to run the same report might have been in and changed something, you can see exactly what they did and why. So you can see there if they've been modified and what the before and after kind of effect was on that particular report. Okay, so lots of possibilities there. And again, just some of the examples of the standard reports that ION will produce for you. You've got the BFR counterparty there, the main accounts return. So there, your annual accounts return reports, you'll know this. So at the end of the year, your auditor or somebody within the trust will need to produce that type of information, and ION will make that a lot more straightforward for you. It'll save a lot of time being able to just produce those reports directly from the finance system. But now I suppose if we get into the main part of the session today, which is to create a report. So I want to show you just how easy the system is to be able to make from scratch a report that you would need to see. Okay, so we keep this quite basic. You'll see as we go, there are a lot of settings, there are a lot of things we can do. And again, I've only got a short amount of time on this session today. I'd love to be able to go through every single option here. So we'll start off by just giving the report. I'm just going to be boring and call it Kevin's report. Okay, and then we've got a couple of options for different types of reports and different reporting audiences. Now, again, you're in complete control of those types and audiences, and you can set them up as you see fit. But it makes it really easy to be able to organize the reports. And we mentioned kind of scheduling those reports before and sending them out. I can choose audiences to send those reports out to. Again, so for example, you might have board member audience that you can then kind of just group those reports together and send them all out to board members at the same time. So lots of options there. But one of the main decisions we need to make at the beginning of creating a report is, are we going to create a report based on the chart of accounts, so your nominal codes or general ledger codes, okay? Or are we going to decide to make a report based on dimensions? Now, dimensions have got a lot of different purposes, but for multi-academy trusts, we use them for things like cost centres or departments, schools and locations. Okay, you could have funds, items, the list goes on. There's all sorts of different ways we can use dimensions to view reports. I think the example it shows on the report right there is customers. So customers and suppliers are actually classed as dimensions. And essentially this is just affecting what will be displayed down the left-hand side of your report. I'm going to focus on accounts today. So we're going to create a report, an accounts-based report Okay, so what we'll now need to do is decide in the rows which accounts or groups of accounts we are going to display on our financial report. Now, if I choose to select account groups, you can see, and again, ION will work with you within the trust. We'll do this as part of the ION way to make sure you have all of the account groups there that you're going to need and require. Now, there might be a lot in here that you don't need, okay, but there might be bits in here that you do need that aren't there. And again, the idea being is you can go ahead and create your own account groups, or ION can create the account groups for you during the implementation, so that when you want to report on something like expenditures, you click that, it will include all of the expenditures automatically onto the report for me. So I could go ahead and be more specific and just say, show me salary and wages, or just show me, I don't know, things around insurance. But what the system has done for me, because again, the way that it can work is it's grouped a lot of different accounts together and displayed them all under the category of expenditures. Okay, so this is just an example. And I'm going to go ahead now and decide, based on the account groups in the rows, what type of information I'd actually like this report to show me. So in the columns, not computations, we'll get to that. So via the columns, this is now me telling this report or giving the instructions on this report of the data, the numbers that I'd like to see. So I can pick from a lot of different things here. So if we just go into the second column, I can choose to display actual, budget, kind of forecasting information. I can choose to add notations and spacing. I can do all sorts of really kind of clever things there. But what I'll do is I'm just going to leave this based on actuals. And I'm going to define the reporting period that I would like this actual column to show me. Okay, and I'm just going to tell this to show me the current year. Yeah, so the fiscal current year. And that's all I'm going to add for now. So I'm just going to preview this report and I'll show you what it looks like now. So very basic example of a report, but within just a few minutes, you'll have noticed that we've created a report from scratch. Got all the information that we were asked for down the left-hand side. We've got a year-ending column, which is showing us fiscal year to the current year, and it's drillable as well. So all of these numbers, anything in blue, can be clicked onto and drilled into to give you that breakdown. Okay, so we've already been able to create a report from scratch, but what we'll do is we'll take this a little bit further, because I want to show you some of the more kind of benefits and some more of the features of this report, right? So we've just added an actual column based on the fiscal current year, but I might like to see that in a little bit more detail. So I want to know how that figure is being calculated across the trust, because there was nothing in there about which specific school I was running that for. There was nothing in there that kind of told me, well, am I looking at the trust? Am I looking at an individual school or academy? We were actually looking at everything consolidated. And the reason we were doing that is because we're at the top level of this system. So at the top level is where we can run consolidated based reports. And I didn't get any instruction on what to do otherwise. So it just ran for all of the schools and academies within the trust. But what I can do to get more insight on that is I can expand the column out by location. And if we preview this again, what you'll see is we now, instead of just having one column, we've now got a column for every school or academy within the trust. Okay, so you'll have your own school names there, you'll have your own secondaries, primaries, whatever, however big your trust is, however small it is, you'll be able to get this instantly. So it's looking at that actual column and it's immediately broken it out across the page for me. Okay, and again, you still maintain that drillable element. So if I want to see what the £270 was for books within Derwentdale Academy, I can click into that and the system will give me the breakdown of exactly where that came from. Okay, so that's one example. Now, you can expand the columns out by any of the dimensions. So you've got departments, locations, school trip, items and funds, or even customers and suppliers there. So the columns can be broken out very easily into those different dimensional values. Okay, and we can also, if I just take that away just for a sec, I'm going to take the expansion off. Very easily add additional columns. I don't just have to have one column. I can go ahead and say, well, actually, now I've got the actuals for that particular period for my expenditure. Show me the budget information as well. So just again, a few clicks, nice and straightforward. I can choose the budget that I want to display because there are multiple budgets set up within the system. You can have as many as you like. You can have different forecasts or different budgets as you see fit. And again, I can choose the reporting period for that. So if we just again keep that to the current year, but note again, you could have one report reporting on different periods if you needed to. So if you needed to view month, quarter, and financial year, you could have all of those different monthly kind of periods broken down across the same report. And again, note on the budget, I can choose to expand that by the dimensions in the same way that I can with the actuals. Okay, so if I just go ahead and preview that now, you'll see we now have two columns. We've got an actual and a budget. And again, if I expanded those columns out, I would get that breakdown by school, or even maybe more importantly for a budget-based report, could be getting that breakdown by department. Okay, so we can see exactly how the budget is broken down across the trust for the different departments, whether that be faculties or however we choose to set that up. Okay, so lots of possibilities there within the columns, all sorts of things we can do. Again, I wish I had enough time to show you everything here, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to explain a little bit more about the financial report writer and other bits and pieces here that we can do.
Sorry to interrupt you there. It's just we've just had someone put in the chat saying that they can't see the screen. Is everyone else able to see the screen? If you could either just raise your hand that you can, or a thumbs up on the React, or even put in the chat box that you can. It's just to see if this is a functionality issue for everyone. Right, other people can see it. Yeah, it might be worth. So Catherine, for yourself, if you quickly hop back out, I can let you join in again and see if that works.
Oh, it was in my mouth
Right.
there. I'm thinking, have I been showing you all this
Sorry,
time?
no, apologies about stopping you there. It was just, we just had one person, no, I just noticed it with one person. I just wanted to make sure, I thought other people would have mentioned it by now, but I just wanted to make sure that wasn't an issue for everyone. So thank you, apologies for interrupting there. I'm just gonna let everyone back in. Right, thank you so much. Sorry about that, everyone.
Again, and Catherine, just to add to that, I don't know, hopefully you will be able to see it, but please reach out and I am more than happy to repeat this. And that goes to everybody on the session as well. More than happy to go through this in more detail in a more tailored session. Okay, I know this is a lot to take in and in a short space of time. So please let me, I'd rather do that. I'd rather have the conversation with you on a call individually if we can set that up.
We have got a recording of the webinar as well that we can send out afterwards, so apologies, but I'll let you crack back on there, Kevin. Sorry there.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Katie. There's not too much more to go through. I just want to show you some of the more advanced features that we can go. And I say advanced, they're still really easy. And that's adding things like computations to the report. So an example for a trust could be, or could look something like, I want to divide my salary and wages by the total number of teachers that we have. Now, a couple of things will need to maybe be set up for that to work. So one thing, we're going to have to capture the number of teaching staff or teachers that we have in the trust. Okay, once we've got that number up to date, we can add it to this report as a computation, and it will give me a breakdown of how much, do you know what I mean, like an average teacher cost would be in terms of the salary. So again, that's just one example. There's all sorts. We can add pupil information in here. We can do all sorts of really clever things using the computations within the system. Again, the list goes on of the different things that we could do. Computations is one. Filters, again, I mentioned before that we're looking at the top level of the system. So everything is running for all departments, all locations, all trips, but I can choose to filter that, right? I can choose specific groups of schools or academies. So I can choose clusters, all the primaries, all the secondaries, or the trust in its entirety. Or I can go into individual schools and run the same reports there as well. Okay, so it'll be filtered right down. The formatting, I could go on for a long time on the formatting. If you're anything like me, this is the type of thing you will want to look at, and you'll want to add rounding settings and make specific columns appear in bold and change the color schemes of the report to really suit you, and add your own trust branding to the reports by adding things like your logos to the report. So all those types of things we can do via the formatting and notations. We got asked this quite a lot over the it's nearly 3 years I've now been working with Sage Intacct, and we were asked for this. and Sage Intacct responded and they added notations in about 6 months ago. So you've now got the ability to add notations directly against the account groups within the system. So if I just create a column here called notes, and if I want to put in next to the salary and wages, I'm just going to put test in there. I then need to tell the system to actually display that column. Okay, so really straightforward. So I can go ahead and I can add a new column, but this time I'm telling it to display the notation that I've just added. If we preview that again, we've got the test notation added in next to salary and wages. So really straightforward, really easy. And again, I think I could keep going on and on. Again, you can see this the ability there to add permissions and restrict this report so that only certain users are able to access it or not access it. So all sorts of different capabilities and different potential there with the financial reporter. Just to finish off, because one thing is, I'm going to delete that, thinks I've added a computation when I haven't. Doesn't like something there, thinks I've added this. I'm just going to put text in there. Thinks I added a computation when I was in the settings before. Hopefully that'll work, yeah. So now we've got, so one thing having the reports, okay, within the system, displaying them, and I can choose to run that at any time by clicking on the name if I want to. But another really great tool of being able to display the reports is to add them to a dashboard. Now, you could have multiple different types of dashboards within this system. I think we've discussed this on previous webinars, all sorts of different possibilities with them. But if I pick a dashboard here, I'm going to go ahead and just add my report that I've just built just to display and show how easy it is to do that. So I'm going to choose to add a report. In the components, I'm going to try and look for Kevin's report. There it is. And I can save. With just a few clicks, the system is now going to add that report that we've just built onto my month-end dashboard. Now, again, that's just an example. So you can see we've got the test notation, the budget, the actual, everything we've just built there, we've now got on a live dashboard screen. Okay, it ran over slightly, so hopefully there's some questions. We've got a few minutes left. There are.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Kev. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please do just pop them in the chat box. I know something we get asked quite commonly. I can see a couple of people already typing away. So one of the questions, Kev, I'll just reach out and ask it there for you because people might be thinking about it. Is likes of this is say Iris or even Access. Is do you ever have to pay for these type of reports?
So again, we'll give you all of the reports as mentioned before that Ion have built. You get the system report to come as standard, and then any additional report that you choose to create, you can do it yourself. And in the ways that I've just shown you there, you can build that and you can do that with no additional charge. And Ion, as part of the support that we provide, will assist you in building reports as well. So no, you don't need to pay for new reports.
Yeah, it's I know it's quite a I think I was speaking to someone quite recently, which is why it's been kind of forefront of my mind of quite a few frustrations of that a report wasn't quite the way they wanted it and have had to pay again and again just to get that edited. So yeah, you'll have seen by what Kev's done there that you can really easily edit your own reports and how you view them. So another question there for you, Kev, is drillable on report to invoice. Can you then drill to PO and requisition?
Yes, all the way through, because the requisition PO and invoice transactions will be all linked together by the purchasing module in Sage Intacct. When we drill into the report, it will take us into the invoice, and that will then allow us from that screen to then view the associated transactions such as the POs and requisitions and any maybe JRN notes that have been associated as well. So yeah, absolutely, get all the way into the source transaction directly from the report.
It's certainly, I think when me and Kev probably mentioned this again on other webinars because it all quite nicely links together, but this is a big perk for auditing. So you've got that full trail back and why it's best to have everything just in the one system. So I know with a couple of other systems, you've almost got different web portals and it's really hard to get all that drillable information and go all the way back when it's two different systems because everything itself can be done within Sage Intacct. You can have other systems if you want, but it'll link in, but you can do everything from Sage Intacct. You've got that full traceability, which makes it a lot easier for yourselves there. I see there's no more coming up. I know again, Kev, just another question I get quite asked a lot about as well is limits. So can you just inform everyone about the reporting limits within Sage Intacct as well?
Same with everything in Sage Intacct. There are no limits really to anything. There's no published limits on the amount of transactions. There's no published limit on the amount of schools or users or anything. And that's the same with reports. There's no, you can have as many as you like. There's a short answer to that. As many reports, dashboards, graphs and charts as you like.
Brilliant. Another question there for you, Kev. Can you send the SOFA BFR straight from the system?
No is a short answer, but that is in development now. We recently had a call with the ESFA's Better Financial Reporting team, and we are on the journey, if you like. Now we're beginning that. Our developers at Ion are working with the developers from the ESFA to be able to map that up. So it works directly from the DFE chart of accounts. So the chart of accounts that you'll be able to adopt with Sage Intacct, and then hopefully in the not too distant future, you will be able to just click a button for that automated submission.
Yeah.
Okay, for all of the accounts return reports that you need to submit.
One of the good things as well, with just being able to change the report so much in the system, as you'll have seen, we can get that in the correct format though. So even though you'll have to pull it off as a CSV file or whichever to upload it, it can be in just the right format. So you're not going to have to manually manipulate it as much as you would have even in previous versions of Sage.
That's a point, yeah, Katie, you're right. So we've got the report formats there. So your BFR, your counterparty, the benchmarking, the all of the reports that you'll need for that accounts return. You'll be able to get the reports formatted ready so you can export them out of the system and then add them into your return. But hopefully in the future, I was really kind of optimistic when we came off that call last week with the ESFA that we won't be too far away of getting that done.
Brilliant. No, I can see another question being typed, so I'll not go off just yet. And then it's got VAT reports on as well there.
Yeah, so both full VAT reports. If you're fully VAT registered, you can do all of the reporting that you need. We've also got a VAT 126 report, which we've actually done some work on quite recently. So we created a VAT 126 report initially, but then our existing multi-academy trusts that are using the system had some feedback, so we made some changes to how that would work. But yeah, so
that's one of the things to probably point out with us being a Sage partner as well. Obviously, we're keen to make the reporting suite as easy as possible for yourselves. We're very aware, and just be quite frank with yourselves, that what one mat will need, most mats will probably need as well for reporting. If there's any reporting that you think is missing or would work better in another way, let us know. We'll do that work. You don't have to, because we're aware of the benefit of them being able to send it out to everyone as well. So Kev and his team will always work with you on reporting. If there's anything missing, please get in touch about it. And you don't really have to use any of your support to get that fixed or anything. With Kevin's team would happily probably work on that themselves just to make sure it's there for everyone. So on that, I can't see any more questions being typed, but thank you so much for everyone joining us today. I know it's a little bit, I think there's another question just being typed as I've said that, so I don't want to shoot off just yet. But we will be following up with everyone. Obviously, Catherine will send you out the webinar, just so you'll have seen the full amount and so you've not missed anything, just in case there was anything that you haven't seen on the screen. But we will be following up with everyone from it. I know you'll have a load of questions as well that you might think of afterwards, because I know reporting can be quite individual in the mat, but please do just let us know and we'd be more than happy. Brilliant. Yeah, I know that it's just a thank. There's no more questions there, so thank you so much, like I say, everyone, for joining us, and we will follow up with everyone and get the webinar recordings over there for you.